All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're tearing into a cultural phenomenon that honestly shouldn't have worked. I mean, a bald guy who beats literally everything with one punch sounds like a joke that would get old in 5 minutes, right? But as we're going to see, underneath all that explosive animation and deadpan comedy, there is a profoundly brilliant narrative that completely rewired what action anime could be. So let's start by looking at this core paradox. What is the actual, emotional and existential cost of already being the absolute strongest person in the universe? When your one job is fighting monsters, but you can end literal apocalyptic threats with just a casual, lazy swing of your fist, where do you even find meaning anymore? That's the exact question our guy, Saitama, is wrestling with right from episode 1. To really unpack this masterpiece, we're splitting this explainer into 5 key parts. First, the curse of absolute strength, then deconstructing the superhero genre, what really makes a hero, the animation and music, and finally, its lasting cultural legacy. All right, let's jump straight into part 1, the curse of absolute strength and the mundane reality of omnipotence. Now, the contrast here is just hilarious. The big secret behind his godlike power, it's literally just a mundane daily workout. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run every single day for 3 years. That's it. And somehow that routine gave him catastrophic, invincible power, at the cost of all his hair, obviously. It's funny, sure, but it also highlights the show's sincere core. Ridiculous dedication actually has consequences, just maybe not the ones Saitama was hoping for. And that brings us to this quote, which really exposes the whole Trojan horse trick of the show. It uses this hyper-violent, gorgeous action as a cover to deliver this really poignant commentary on depression and, frankly, the emptiness of ultimate fulfillment. Remember, Saitama started this whole hero gig just for fun, looking for the thrill of a life-or-death battle. But by achieving his absolute dream, he totally killed the journey. Every single fight is over in one punch. So he's just left in this emotional vacuum, literally sighing in disappointment while surrounded by the obliterated remains of giant monsters. Moving right along to section 2, deconstructing the superhero genre and how it completely satirizes the escalation trope. Okay, so the crucial takeaway here is where the tension actually comes from. In basically every other action story, the engine running the plot is the hero training to beat a stronger bad guy. But here, that trope is completely flipped on its head. The absolute pinnacle of power is sitting right at the starting line. The real tension is all about how Saitama copes with the sheer loneliness of having zero physical challenges left. Will anybody ever recognize him? Will he ever actually feel anything again? It's just such a brilliantly fresh way to drive a story. And then you've got the Hero Association's ranking system, which is this incredibly sharp critique of bureaucracy. They measure worth by popularity and rank, not by, actually saving people. Look at the absurdity of this setup. Saitama shatters literally every conceivable physical record during his hero exam, but he gets tossed into the bottom-tier C class just because he bombed a written essay. Meanwhile, you've got S-class heroes at the top who are deeply flawed or just obsessed with their public image. It's a spot-on satire about how institutions care way more about conformity than actual world-saving substance. Which leads us perfectly into section 3, what really makes a hero? Let's look at some contrasting philosophies. Comparing these two characters gives us a total masterclass in juxtaposition. When the terrifying Deep Sea King shows up, an S-class hero gets absolutely shredded. Then enrolls Moomin Rider, literally just a regular dude on a bicycle with zero superpowers. He throws himself into this brutal, hopeless fight, getting absolutely mangled just to buy the civilians a few seconds of time. When Saitama finally arrives, he ends it with one bored, totally anticlimactic punch. But here's the genius part. The show clearly frames Moomin Rider's desperate, bleeding stand as the true heroic moment. It's telling us that real courage is an act of pure will, totally independent of what you can physically do. Then we've got Genos, our 19-year-old S-class cyborg. Now, he drops into the story like your textbook anime protagonist. Tragic backstory, out for revenge, totally loaded with massive incineration cannons. But spiritually, the guy is running on empty. It's so funny watching him aggressively scribble notes on Saitama's totally mundane habits, like sprinting to catch a weekend grocery sale, because he's so desperately searching for some profound framework to rebuild his life. It perfectly drives home the idea that you find purpose through human connection and service, not just by packing more raw firepower. So why does all this matter? Well, the show is basically arguing that true heroism actually requires killing your own ego. After that Deep Sea King fight, the crowd starts trashing the heroes who lost, calling them weak. So what does Saitama do? He steps up and loudly lies, claiming he only won because the other heroes weakened the monster first. He completely tanks his own reputation and draws all the public's hatred, just so they don't lose faith in the heroes who actually bled for them. It's this massive display of profound social intelligence, completely hidden behind his usual blank, goofy expression. Let's pivot a bit for Section 4, the animation and music, and Madhouse's legendary execution. What's really mind-blowing here is that this insanely fluid, hand-drawn spectacle, it didn't come from some bottomless corporate budget. It was pure collaborative magic. Director Shingo Natsume basically assembled the Avengers of freelance webtoon animators, these young, hungry artists with crazy online portfolios, and they just threw everything they had at the screen. They obsessed over these hyperfluid Sakuga sequences down to the tiniest details. I mean, they were animating the individual wrinkles in Saitama's gloves as he clenches his fist. It was a total labor of passion that completely pushed the boundaries of the medium. And to match that absolute visual chaos, the music is just off the charts. The opening track by Jam Project is this raw, blaring, street-style anthem of unyielding heroism that instantly gets your blood pumping. Pair that with Makoto Miyazaki's original score, which is absolutely loaded with massive, heavy electric guitar riffs that build incredible tension right before a monster fight. And then, all of that bombastic energy completely slams into a brick wall, with Saitama's deadpan comedic reactions. It elevates the punchline every single time. All right, wrapping things up with Section 5, a lasting cultural legacy and the global impact of Season 1. Yep, 100%. That's the perfect Rotten Tomatoes score this first season is sitting on. It's universally acclaimed. Critics, audiences, basically everyone was just floored by how perfectly it blended laugh-out-loud comedy with jaw-dropping animation and a surprisingly quiet philosophical core. It took those tired genre tropes, completely flipped them, and became something entirely unique. And commercially, an absolute juggernaut. We're talking over 34 million copies of the manga in circulation as of 2024. And let's be real, that massive surge was largely fueled by the unbelievable hype generated by this exact foundational television season. It pulled millions of newcomers into the anime medium, proving it could handle sophisticated satirical comedy right alongside world-class visual spectacle. The season caps off with this insane, galaxy-spanning fight against Lord Boros, an alien who literally traveled for 20 years just to find a worthy opponent. Saitama finally has to bust out a serious punch that actually parts the Earth's atmosphere. But as Boros is dying, the truth drops. Saitama was holding back the whole time. Boros realizes the prophecy he followed was a total lie, and it was never even a fair fight. It's the moment the show crystallizes. It's not just a simple comedy. It's a profound tragedy where both guys realize the ultimate fight they were searching for never actually existed. So as we finish out this explainer, I want to leave you with this profound question to chew on. If the struggle itself is what gives our goals actual value, what happens to us when that struggle totally disappears? Saitama's journey is a stark reminder that getting everything you want, achieving absolute perfection, might actually be the most isolating experience of all. The search for a worthy challenge is what makes us human. Really think about that the next time you find yourself wishing for the easy way out. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the narrative.